Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. It's Wednesday and the patch notes have already been posted, which means it's time for us to talk through the top 5 changes of patch 14.7. I'll let you guys know what the biggest changes were on this week's patch and what you can be looking forward to in the coming weeks. 14.7 is a pretty small patch, all things considered, but there's still plenty to talk about, so let's go ahead and hop right into things, starting off with the number 5 change on this week's patch, the Skarner VGU. That's right, Skarner's new look and new kit are coming to live with 14.7. Gone is the former purple crystal scorpion of old, and instead we'll have the brand new earth elemental scorpion kaiju guy that he's turning into. Mechanically, it looks very similar to his old playstyle, but there have been enough tweaks that he should still feel relatively new to play, as well as having a more tank-oriented playstyle as far as I'm concerned. I think he's going to be a lot more comfortable as sort of a pure tank as opposed to more of a damage-dealing character. Be very interested to see how the Skarner VGU works out, but definitely I will be sad about the old Skarner going away for good. Moving on to the number 4 change on this week's patch, I want to be talking about the Rell changes. Now, for like 90% of Rell players, Rell has only ever been a support. You would then maybe be surprised to learn that Rell has been a popular pick in professional play for the last year, ever since her CGU, when Riot introduced a bunch of jungle-centric changes to Rell's kit overall. This has caused problems in pro play since that day, where Rell jungle has pivoted between being overwhelmingly powerful to being merely playable, but Rell's still been a flex pick that whole time because she has been playable at support in professional play, and it's caused issues, suffice to say, for the last full year. So Riot are finally throwing in the towel. The changes here are basically the removal of all of Rell's monster damage modifiers, causing her to be relegated to the support role and the support role alone for the foreseeable future. This means if you are in the minority and enjoy Rell jungle, it's no longer playable, but if you are a Rell support player, none of these changes matter to you at all, except for in the fact that Rell may see some support-centric buffs in the next couple of weeks. Suffice to say, Rell jungle, though, is dead and buried. Long live Rell jungle. Moving on to the number 3 changes of this week's patch, I want to talk about the Nami changes. Now, Nami is at one of the historically weakest points she's ever been at, and as a result, Riot are trying to hand her some buffs. Now, they are buffing her, but they are also nerfing down some of Nami's damage because they're generally trying to remove some of the support damage that exists in the game and force Nami to be a little bit more of a enchanter support focused more on the healing and buffs rather than on pure damage overall. As a result, Nami is getting a tap down on her W's damage and her E's damage, but she is getting a substantial amount of healing back on her W. 20 more healing at max rank plus a 40% AP ratio is a really nice change. Additionally, the bounce fall off is gone entirely at 100 AP, which means that you'll then get the full heal value every time you heal multiple champions. This should be a very nice change overall for Nami's more supportive playstyle, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it shakes out. The number 2 change on this week's patch are the changes to Olaf. Riot are trying to buff up Olaf jungle specifically. This has historically been where he's played most often, but following his sort of mini-kit rework, Olaf jungle really hasn't seen very much play. It's been mostly Olaf top. Riot want to buff Olaf jungle, but they're worried about over-buffing Olaf top, and as a result, Olaf is receiving some very targeted changes that won't affect his jungle very much, but will affect his top lane performance. Mostly his jungle buffs are just specific jungle changes. He's getting a bonus monster damage on his Q, as well as a cooldown refund on his Reckless Swing when dealing damage to monsters specifically. Meanwhile, though, W has had an increased attack speed duration. This is a very nice change for his clear overall. It should mean he clears very quickly, which is a very good thing for the champion to have overall. But he is receiving some fairly substantial nerfs as far as his top lane performance is concerned. The mana cost on Tough It Out has been increased by 20, so you'll have to be a lot more judicious about its use. And Ragnarok now has a mana cost, which is a big deal because that's 100 extra mana that you now have to account for in your all-in or just in general your laning phase. Jungle Olaf doesn't really care because he'll have a blue buff, but generally speaking, top lane Olaf will be feeling these changes. I'm looking forward to seeing how they shake out, though, because Jungle Olaf is very fun to watch and to play, and it's definitely going to be a lot better on 14.7. Finally, the number 1 change on this week's patch are the changes to support items, more specifically, Zazak's Realm Spike and Bloodsong. Now, these items are causing problems where you have champions that are playing support as sort of an off-role, and they are being extremely bursty at their one item spike, specifically where they are getting their Zazaks or where they are getting their Bloodsong. As a result, Riot are toning back both of these items to make it a little bit less bursty when these champions get their first item, and generally tone back the amount of damage that they're able to deal overall, forcing them to get more power behind their build before they're actually able to start insta-giving champions. Zazax has lost some of its max HP damage, as well as having a longer cooldown, as well as losing some of its flat damage. Generally, it will be dealing less damage overall across the game. And Bloodsong has lost 50% off of its Spellblade AD ratio, which is a huge nerf to both of these items. They will still be usable. If you're a Lux player bot lane, you're in the support position, you're still going to go Zazax. If you're Pantheon support, you're still going to go Bloodsong. You just won't be dealing as much damage on your one item spike as you may be used to otherwise. And that is going to be it for me today, guys. Those are the top 5 changes of patch 14.7. Let me know what you're most excited for down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video today, go ahead and leave it a like. And if you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload it every Monday, Friday, and on patch days like today as well. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it. And I will talk to you all later.